In this video, I'll be talking about how I went from 0 to B2 plus in French in just under 10 months. Hi everybody, my name is Chintan and I started learning French last year in the month of May, and just recently I have received my results in which I have got NCLC 9 in the reading, listening and 7 in speaking, writing. So I'll be going over everything that I did, how I did it, and how you can also do the same. So let me give you a brief introduction about how I started and what I did. So I wanted to learn French back in January, but I was too lazy to start, and I had some problems in the life as well. So it took me till the month of May to actually start learning. Till then I was just avoiding it. So yeah, that is something that a lot of people face. Like a friend of mine who is also learning it has decided that he will start learning, and he has spent 9 months, but he hasn't made any progress yet. So that is something that happened with me as well. So if it's happening with you, well, I can understand, but you have to start anyway. So for me, I started in the month of May, and when I started, I also thought that it's gonna be a journey of a year or a year and a half, and it'll be very hard for me to go through this, because from starting I never had a plan to take a course or to like buy a subscription from anybody. So I always thought that it'll take more than a year for me, but luckily it ended up being 10 months. And now when I posted my results on Reddit, a lot of people said that I'm a robot and it cannot be done, I must not be working full time, or I would have started with already knowing a little bit of French. So let me give you a background. I started from zero. So in the month of May, I started learning A, B, C, D. Then I started learning the numbers, the accents, the sounds. And apart from that, I was working 2 jobs full time. So I work in a pizza store and a convenience store, and combined I was doing about 65 hours every week. So yeah, I wasn't only working full time, but I was working more than full time. But luckily in one of the jobs I can use my earbuds and I can listen to French, so that helped me a lot. But you can say that I was working full time. But for you, if you're working like 40 hours a week or so, then let me tell you that it is possible for you as well. So throughout the journey, the 3 most important things that helped me a lot is, first of all, asking the right kind of questions. Second is self-reflection, and the number 3 is patience. These are the most important skills, and if you are able to master these ones, then you will also be able to achieve this. Now let's talk about questioning. It is said that asking the right kind of questions is the beginning of the intelligence. So if you are able to ask the right kind of questions at the right time, you will be able to progress like so fast, and that is how you can go from like 0 to B2 or B1 in just like 6 months. And that is what I did. Like every time when I was stuck at a particular thing or a particular topic, I would just ask like what is it that I'm not able to understand? How is it gonna be helping me for the exam? Or does it even make sense for me to learn it? Or does it make sense for me to give it this much of time? So there are a lot of questions that you need to ask in order for you to figure out what is right for you, and what is the best way to approach any problem that you are facing right now. Now coming to the point of self-reflection, it is really important for you to self-reflect, because there were times when I was just not able to do anything. Like there was a phase when I just did not do anything for 2 weeks, and it happened like 2-3 times. So it was almost a month that I wasted, and that was because I was not able to ask the right kind of questions. But also it helped me to just realize that what I was doing was not enough, or maybe it was not the right way to approach it, and taking those breaks helped me to understand that what my mistakes were and what can I do better. Now if you are learning right now, you would feel that that is something like really horrible, but now for me, somebody who has already done it, I can reflect back upon it and see that, well, that was necessary for me to be where I am right now. And if you're having to take the breaks, then it's okay. Just realize that this is important and it will help you in the long term, given that you ask the right kind of questions. And lastly, the aspect of patience. Now this is very important, especially in the beginning and at the phase where you will be at an intermediate level. So in the beginning, like a month, 2 months, when you start, it's pretty hard. Like you will not see any progress. Like even just learning numbers from 1 to 10 or 1 to 20 is pretty hard. So you'll not be able to learn, you'll not be able to recall anything, but you just have to go with the flow for like 2 months and be patient. Everything happens subconsciously, so learning is not an active process. You just pay attention to whatever you're doing, and learning happens when you are in deep sleep. So your brain organizes whatever you have paid attention to, and that is how you learn. So it's a process that happens subconsciously when you sleep. If you're not seeing progress, just know that this is not something that is linear. It does not go up like this. It's an exponential curve. So at first there will be no progress at all, and then you just take off from there. So it happens a couple times. First when you are a beginner, the first couple months, and then when you reach an intermediate level, maybe B plus. So at that level as well, you are able to understand quite a lot, but you are not able to speak or use the grammar correctly. So there is also this curve, you can call it a learning curve. And at the intermediate level as well, it takes you a month or so to go from like B1 to B1 plus or B2. So these are the couple of phases where you have to be patient, and these are the three most important skills that you need to master. And if you do that, then trust me, it's possible for you to do it like even in 8 months. Because for me, I had to do a lot of research and development about like how should I approach the problem. But now that I have developed all the tools, and I'll be making videos of everything that you need to know about writing template, speaking template, how you can approach the listening questions, reading questions. So I think if you apply the right strategy and ask right questions, you'll be able to do it in just under 8 months. Before we move on to what I did for each module, that is reading, listening, speaking, and writing, I just want to let you guys know that I'm starting a consulting service in which I will provide you with everything that you need to know for whatever topic that you are stuck at. So it could be a writing template that you are not able to crack, or it could be help with speaking, it could be going from A1 to B2, or how you can go from B1 to B2. So if you have any questions, you have any queries about how you should approach and how quickly you can move on to one level from the another. So I'm just starting this consulting service where I'll be talking to you directly on a call for 45 minutes to an hour, and I'll provide you with everything that you need to know so that you can progress as fast as you can without having to pay expensive prices for courses or anything. So if you want to know more, I'll just leave the link in the description and you can book a call and we'll talk. Okay, so let's start from listening, because listening is something that helped me enormously. And I just want to focus more on listening because that is something that I figured out, because I have a neck issue. It is because of using smartphone for a long period of time in a bad posture. And I'm personally not able to sit for more than 30 to 35 minutes without having like screeching pain in my neck. And that's why I tried to figure out like what is it that I can do in order for me to progress without having to sit down. And I realized that I have also learned English. English is not my first language. So the way that I did was by just watching a lot of YouTube about the topics that I was interested in. It was back like in 2016 or 2017 when I was so much interested in smartphones, and I used to watch like a lot of videos about smartphones. I would watch like speed tests, battery tests, drop tests, and everything. So I was so much interested in that, and I would spend like hour, 2 hour, 3 hours every single day for I don't know, 3 to 6 months, and that is something that helped me quite a lot in order for me to progress quite a lot in English. So I thought like I can do something similar in French, and for me to do that, I needed to start from the basics. So I was not good at anything in French, so I had to start from like zero. So I started listening to those sentences where they speak a sentence in French and then in English. So I did that for about 15-20 days. I would just listen to it for an hour, 2 hour every single day. And then I moved on to like those AI stories that are available on YouTube, where again they speak the story in French, then in French and English, and then again in French, something like that. So I did that for almost like a month or so. And at that time, like first couple months, it was very hard for me to like even listen to it because I was not able to understand anything. But yeah, I did something like that for the first couple months, and then I started listening to easy French content like native French stories, but A2 B1 level. And I also listen to a lot of those easy and slow French channels that are created by the native speakers, and those also help me quite a lot because they tell you about all the daily expressions and everything that they use in the videos in a way that is very easy for you to understand. So I did like those videos for a couple months as well. So in total I did like 4 to 5 months, and that helped me to get from zero to B1 level. And then again, I found something that was interesting for me. So In English, there are like books about habits like Atomic Habits or 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So I have like watched videos on them and I was interested. So there are a few channels in French as well which upload videos about these books. And as I already knew like what is the content that they are talking about, so it was interesting for me and I watched quite a lot of videos in that genre. Apart from that, like there are some entertainment channels, basically channels like Mr. Beast and stuff, but in French. So I watched those as well for fun and that helped me quite a lot as well. So after like reaching the level B1, it is pretty easy for you to consume like any kind of content that you want, because you'll be able to understand almost everything. And then as you move on to like one channel to the another, you will try to pick up like how they speak and what kind of sentences they are using. So that will help you to build a speech for yourself, so you'd be able to use those sentences like in the situations that you want. So for you, what I would recommend is that do basics and reach the level B1, and then find out something that you are interested in. Maybe you are interested in Harry Potter's, maybe in cars, maybe in computers, I don't know. So whatever that you are interested in, find a channel. And to find a channel, you'll need to like watch a lot of videos first, and then you'll find out a few channels which are interesting for you, and then you can watch a lot of their videos. And this is not something that like you would watch the video once and then okay, it's done. No, the videos that you will be watching, maybe you'll need to watch them twice, thrice, 4 times. So keep on listening even when you are not watching them. Just have an earbud in your ear and play those videos, because that is something that's gonna help you quite a lot. So if I sum up my listening, then I would say that on an average, I would have done 1.5 hour to 2 hours of passive listening, where I would just have an earbud in my ear and I would just listen to French. Apart from that, I did 30 minutes on an average of active listening, where I would watch the video with the subtitles so I can see what are the spellings and everything, how the structure of the sentence is. So 30 minutes of that, and this is average. So some days I would do like 3 hours, 4 hours of passive listening, while on other days maybe 20 minutes, maybe nothing at all. So on an average, I would say that if you are able to pull off 2 hours of passive listening plus half an hour of active listening for the first 5 months, then it's pretty good for you and it will help you quite a lot. This is like the most important thing. It goes by the Pareto principle, where if you do this, like then it'll help you to learn almost 80% of everything that you need to know, and this only takes like 20% of effort. So yeah, listening is the most important. Now let's move to the topic of reading. I personally am somebody who does not read books. I have never read a book in my life, apart from the high school textbook and stuff. But yeah, like a book of personal development or any other kind of book, I have never read any books. And that is something that is pretty challenging for me. And in French, it was even more challenging as I was learning the language. So I did not read a lot. And you can say that I have broke like almost all the traditional way of learning that they tell you. I've seen people say like you got to read 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 words every week and stuff like that. But I just ask myself, like, what is it that I can do according to my strengths? And personally, reading is not one of my strengths. But if you are somebody who likes to read quite a lot of books, then I would suggest you, once you reach like the level A2, that is like a couple months into the learning, then you can start reading books or maybe simple stories, and it'll help you a lot. But personally, if I were to sum it up, then I have read maybe 50 to 60 pages, and that is everything that I ever read in French. Apart from the mock tests that I did about 10 to 12 mock tests, but I have only read like 50 to 60 pages. Maybe I started reading the Atomic Habits and I read like 20 pages of that, and then a few things here and there, but that's all I ever read. So trust me, if you're not able to read books, then it is okay for you. Just focus on listening, because that is something that you can do. And in reading, it's not different. Like, it's just the things that you hear that are written over there, and you read them. So if you're not able to read them, just listen to them, and then if you try to read them, then you'll be easily able to understand whatever's written there. So yeah, that is something that I did for reading, because I'm personally somebody who does not like to read quite a lot of books. And now let's talk about writing. Now, the story with writing is also no different from reading. And if I were to recall, then I would say that I started writing when I was 6 to 7 months into the learning journey. This is just before I booked my first attempt, which was in January. So I started like writing practice in December, and I would say that I have written about 30 to 35 part A's and part B's. Apart from that, I have not done any kind of other writing practice. So just the questions for the exams, and every time I would write something and then put it into ChatGPT or Claude for it to check and give me what are my errors, and I would classify what errors I made, like if I'm making gender accord errors or if I'm making errors with plural accords. So I would just classify all the errors and then I would try to work on them and then try not to make those errors again in the writing. So when I started writing, I was making about like 60 to 70 errors in part A and B combined. So I tried to improve after each like practice. And when I gave my first attempt, I would say I was making 20 errors. So that is like errors of spelling, gender errors, and everything like that. So there are people I've seen like they tell you that you cannot make any spelling errors or you cannot make any errors in this kind or that way. But trust me, if you're making like minor errors, then it's okay. You can classify your errors. Like there are some errors which are pretty bad, which changes the meaning of what you're writing. But then there are some errors which are like pretty simple and they do not affect a lot of what you are writing. So maybe those accents, if you miss the accents or maybe a comma or something like that, then it's okay. And for the second attempt, I would say again I was making about 15 to 20 errors of part A and B combined. So it's not bad if you're making errors. All you need to do is like develop a structure and then use the structure to write an essay every time, and then just improve upon what errors that you have done like on the writings that you did before. So that is something that I did for writing, and I think there is not much to that. If you are able to crack your template and then improve upon the errors that you are making, you'll be able to progress pretty quickly, and it takes you about 30 to 40 writings to get to your NCLC 7 or NCLC 8. So if you are thinking that you need to start writing from day one, then well, you don't need to. If you're in to your journey, like if you're in 5 months, 6 months, then you can start your writing, and it'll help you quite a lot. So for me personally, I did writing practice for 3 months, and that was all that I needed. And for you as well, I think that is all you need. So now let's move on to speaking. And speaking is also something that I did not practice a lot. And as I told you, like I did not go by the norms. I always used and did something different, and it just worked out for me. And for you as well, it'll work out for you if you ask the right kind of questions, like according to your strengths. So now what I'm gonna tell you about what I did for speaking might seem very absurd, and there will be people who would say that this is just not true. And I'm not gonna tell you what you wanna hear. Like all of you have just been brainwashed into thinking that you need to practice with those italki teachers, you need to take a course, practice with a partner, and everything like that. And well, if you think like that, then well, I would just say that good luck and all the power to you. I'm just gonna tell you what you need to know, not what you wanna hear, because what you want to hear is already being told to you by a lot of people on the internet. But I'm going to tell you what I did, what worked for me, what could work for you as well, or how you can approach it by yourself as well. So for me personally, all the speaking practice that I did till the first attempt was about 2 hours. That is all the speaking practice that I ever did. And I never spoke to a person. I never took a class. I never spoke to anybody. The first time that I ever spoke for a length of 15 minutes was in my first attempt itself. Like that is the first time that I ever spoke for 15 minutes. And the practice that I did was basically take a question, speak on it for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or then take another questions, maybe speak on it for 2-3 minutes. And that is how I practice. I use ChatGPT. I would just give my answers into the microphone and then see what are the errors that I was making. Apart from that, I would just think of the answers in English and try to just say them in French, and then see how I can just change the things necessary for it to be an answer in French, not just a literal translation. And that is all the practice that I did for the first attempt. But it was a little bit arrogant for my part because I was not able to pass. As you can see, I got like NCLC 6. Had I practiced a little bit more, like that is to say that if I practice for speaking for like 15 minutes, then I would have been able to pass, because in the first attempt I was just not able to like keep the conversation going, as I just never practiced like to speak for 15 minutes, and it was pretty hard for me. But for the second attempt, I started practicing all the full length tests. So I would speak on for like 5 minutes without stopping for section A. Then I would keep on speaking for 10 minutes for the part B. And so all I did was like use my template and just modify a little bit here and there in order for it to fit for the topic that I was practicing on. And in total, I did like 35 topics, and that is what helped me to pass the second attempt. So for me personally, I never spoke to a French person except twice. That was in first attempt and second attempt. And for you, I would suggest that 8 to 10 hours of intensive and deliberate practice is all you need for you to pass the speaking exam. I know this is not something that they tell you to do. Rather, they tell you to take classes with professional, pay $30 an hour, take like 50 classes, and then practice, spend about $600-700, and then just give your first attempt. Just to get an idea of what exam is, pay $500. That's just like pocket change for you, right? So just pay them $500, pay the teachers $1,500, and then pay $500 again for the second attempt. I know this is a little bit ironic because I had to give 2 attempts, but because I was arrogant in my first attempt, I did not practice enough speaking, and I did not have anybody who could tell me like this is what you need to do and this will be enough for you to pass. But now that I've told you what I did, I think it'll be enough for you. And just ask the questions that you need to ask yourself, and I promise you'll be able to just clear it in first attempt. And you can also just do everything that I did in 8 to 10 months. For me, it took 10 months because I did not have anybody to tell me what you need to do or how you need to do it. But now that I can tell you what I did, I guess you can do it in 8 months as well. Well, this is everything that you would ever need to know about how you can pass TEF Canada exam. But if you still have any questions, as I told you that I will be doing this consulting thing, you can just join the link in the description and ask me any questions that you have. I'll help you personally one-on-one. And just know one thing, that speaking and writing, these are 2 things that are subject to human perception. So these will be checked by a person, so you cannot be guaranteed your results. Like even if you do pretty good, like if your score was supposed to be NCLC 8 but then the person checking just does not feel like it, then you cannot do anything and you might end up getting a 6 as well. So that is something that you need to keep in mind as well. So what I can tell you is that focus on the things that you need to do right, and then if you do it right enough, then you will eventually pass. That could be in your first attempt, that could be in your second, but all I can tell you is that speaking and writing, you cannot be guaranteed, but for listening and reading, well, it is checked by a computer. So if you follow the right strategies, then you will be able to crack them in the very first attempt. Apart from this, I'm also working on the question list. So all the topics that were previously asked and repeated questions. So I'll be creating a list of all the questions that were asked in the previous exams around the world, and I'll be creating a list, uploading it somewhere, and I'll be posting the link for those in the future videos, and I'll post the link in this video as well as soon as I'm done with it, so you can check out the description for that as well. And well, this is everything that you needed to know, so good luck.